video in the car because I had an idea and I saw Destiny Sidwell. All my videos are inspired by either Destiny or Sarah Crowley. But I saw her new video where she was trying to finish her reading goal by the end of the year. And I know it's already the end of November, so this is very ambitious of me. But right now I'm at 75 books read. And there's no way I get to 15 books in a month. That's wild. The most I've done is 13. And that was like peak summer, no responsibility. So this is a very ambitious goal, but my idea for this video was to just document as many books as I can read by the end of the year, hoping to reach 100. I have no idea if this is even possible. Based on my last like 4 months of reading, I've only read like 2 to 3 books, so 2 to 4. So this should be interesting. I think it'll be fun to see me scramble and to see if I can actually succeed at this. Yeah, that's it. I don't really have any like plan, method. I don't even have any like books on my radar. I have 3 on my radar actually right now. And I could finish the audio of Harry Potter. I never did finish that, which gives me 4, which leaves only 11 left. So I have no idea if this is possible. I would genuinely have to read like multiple books in a week. So I thought it'd be fun, even if I don't get to 15, just to see how many I do get to. But yeah, that is the concept for today's video. Hopefully you guys can hear this and the audio doesn't sound crazy because I am in the car. Let's get reading. Chit chat while I get ready because I just finished. Wow, I look so pale right now. But I just finished the Metal Slinger. But I made a pact to myself that I would stop starting books that were like part of an unfinished series because it makes me so angry. One, to get left on a cliffhanger. I used to despise getting left on cliffhangers, and if I got left on one, I would hate the book. Like, it made me so mad. I've grown to accept them because it's just what comes with the territory, especially when you're reading fantasy, I feel like. And so I've come to accept cliffhangers for the most part, but typically when that happens, I'm reading a book that's one part of a series, so there's another one, or that's kind of it. So this book is a part of a series, or it's a part of a duology, but the second book is not out yet, and there's no release date. So I'm feeling upset because it was really good, and honestly, I should have known something bad was happening because everything was like too good to be true. And like everything was just working out too smoothly, and things were going too well, and I should have been more cognizant of that and aware of that when I was reading. The thing is, I am not a critical thinker when it comes to reading. Like, I do not overanalyze every situation. I honestly don't even really try to figure out what's happening during, like, while I'm reading. Like, I just, like, let the book tell me, because I don't know, I don't like to spoil it. Well, okay, I have spoiled books for myself in the past, but I just don't like to have to, like, be reading into, like, every little detail. So unless it's, like, made super obvious in the book, or, like, the way that it's going, I can just, like, naturally kind of assume what's gonna happen. I won't, like, try and predict things. So honestly, I really should have been more aware of the situation, because things were going way too well for a fantasy, I feel like. Everything was just kind of, like, falling into place perfectly. So I should have known better. If I had to describe the book, though, it is pretty much a combination of, like, Powerless, ACOTAR, and Throne of Glass. Like, all together, that is what makes up this book, because there's a group of people with power, with magic, and they all have, like, different kinds of magic, which gives the Powerless vibes. And then just, like, some of the, like, magic components are really similar to Throne of Glass, and, like, the relationship, friendship dynamics are really similar to, like, both Throne of Glass and ACOTAR. So it's not exactly the same, and I don't feel as connected to, to these characters that I do to, like, ACOTAR. But also, this is one book, and that was, like, what, 5, 8 if you're counting Throne of Glass. Like, obviously I'm gonna feel more connected to them. But it was still really good, and I am on my toes waiting for the next book to come out, just like I am with Burn of the Everflame, I think is the last book. And the, what's it called? Fourth Wing, the third one, what's it called? Onyx Flame. Waiting for that one to come out too. Want it to be January 21st. So yeah, I did really like it though. I'm really bad at giving, like, synopsis of what books are about, but it's pretty much just, like, these two different groups. There's the Alaha, who were, like, banished to sea, and then the group that lives on the land is called the Kenta, and they are the ones with, like, magic and blah blah blah, but the Alaha have been, like, shielded from them their whole lives, and so they don't know about, like, the magic or anything. And pretty much, like, once a year they bring, like, a group of students to this, like, market on the docks of land, and it's, like, the closest they can get to land for their entire lives. And so Bryn, she and a couple of her friends on this trip to land, and it pretty much jumps into the plot, like, right away, which I kind of like. There's not a lot of, like, easing into it. I feel like you get that more towards, like, the middle of the story, or, like, after a few chapters, you're like, okay, it really slowed down, because the first chapter is kind of, like, action-packed, and you're just kind of, like, thrown into it, and then it slows down, which was kind of interesting. And I was like, when is this gonna, like, pick up? Like, when are we gonna be introduced to, like, you know, the main male protagonist? And eventually you do, and it speeds up. But I just thought it was interesting that instead of, like, taking the time at the beginning to ease into the story, they, like, kind of do it in the middle. But I didn't hate it. I feel like I could see how some people would be, like, impatient with that and just want it to, like, speed up. But I thought the pacing was fine. So that's 2 books done, and it's only been, what, a week? So I've done 2 books in 1 week, which is honestly better than I've been doing. I will credit Thanksgiving break, because I just haven't been doing any homework. But I also have been reading to avoid doing homework, so we're falling into a little bit of a sticky cycle where my priorities might not be balanced or the best right now, but that's okay. That's life, and I deserve to indulge in the things that I like to do. which involve reading. I don't know what book I'm gonna read next. I feel like I should read something on my physical TBR, but I don't know if I can do another fantasy right now or if I need to like switch gears, but I don't know what gear I would switch. I'm gonna go, but thanks for listening to my rants, and I will update you when I have a new book to read, which I don't know when that's gonna be, but hopefully we are on track for 15 books, which will be the craziest reading goal I've ever set for myself if I succeed. And it is the highest reading amount of books I would read in a month ever. So we'll see what happens. I will see you guys later. Went to Barnes to feel something. That's not the only reason. I needed to go buy Lightlark because I want to read it next. But it's not on Kindle Unlimited, so I had to go buy it. And I forgot, one, that it was Black Friday yesterday, so I was hoping that they still had a good selection of books, but I forgot that I saw in Sarah's most recent vlog that Barnes was doing like special editions for Christmas, and so I got the special edition Lightlark, which originally I was holding off to buy the paperbacks of all 3 books because I don't know, I like them to be cohesive, but I couldn't pass this up because it was so pretty. So I want to open it because I want to see what the actual book looks like, but the box that it's in is freaking beautiful. Like, are you kidding? They had so many special editions. I really liked, they had, what's it called? One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns, but I already own just the regular, like, standard paperbacks of those. So I couldn't justify buying 2 new books, especially because I haven't even read the ones that I have. I haven't read the series yet, so I don't even know if I like it. But, oh my gosh, this is beautiful. Are you kidding me? Let's take out the book. I just want to see it. It might just be, like, foiled. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. It's upside down. Why am I tripping right now? This is the front. Wow. This is so pretty. What the heck? Well, that's a score. I would say that was successful and lots of fun and definitely made me feel a little bit better. So I will come back when I start reading. I'm so disappointed. Why did I think that?
Yeah, 23.
Why was I picturing a clock? Why did I think 75 clock?
Why would you not think 75 cents, 25 to $1?
That beats me. I just don't understand why my brain went to a clock. Because even then, no one looks at a clock and thinks, oh, it's 75% of the way around.
Nobody does.
So why on earth did I do that?
That's a good goal for next year. Not the goal in December.
It was gonna
I
be.
don't think you could read 15 books between
I think
now
I
and
could
the
have.
end of the year.
I think I could. I was already at 3. That just makes 12 more, and it's only the 5th. And I have the entire week of Christmas off of school and work. I could have cranked out like 7 books in that time. But now it doesn't matter. So now I might as well just quit reading.
Yeah. Take a break.
Take up the harmonica instead. my croaky voice. I'm sick. But I was informed last night by my mother, and I'm kind of ashamed to admit this, but 75 plus 15 does not equal 100. I know, hold your horses. You're probably all screaming at me that it does, or that it doesn't. But for some reason, in my mind, I pictured a clock when I was thinking about 75, and like even explaining this out loud sounds so stupid and like it doesn't make any sense. But you know, when a clock is like 75% of the way around and is at the 9, then there's 15 minutes left until the 12. I don't know why that is what my brain jumped to when I saw that I had read 75 books this year, because I don't know. So anyway, 75 plus 25 equals 100. So I would have to read 25 books by the end of December to reach 100, and that's just not happening. Now we're just gonna see how many books I can read by the end of the year. So it's just gonna be a race to see how many I finish. But there's no chance we're making it to 100. So yeah, I am genuinely ashamed that it took me this long to figure that out and to realize, because I have said it multiple times and I've like talked about it multiple times, how I'm gonna read 15 more books and get to 100. Like I said it so many times, so I should have known. But yeah, so unfortunately our plans have been thrown awry just a little bit, but never fear, the video will still be done and we'll see how many books I can read. We'll see if I can still get to 15. It's still something that I've never done, so it still can be a goal. But yeah, unfortunately for all you mathematicians out there, apparently 75 plus 15 does not equal 100. That's all. With an update, because apparently it's the only time I think to do them. That's not true, but regardless, I just finished Sky Shade, which is crazy because I think I started Light Lurk like last week. But I'm eating a croissant, sorry. I just finished Sky Shade, and tell me why I was convinced that this was a 3-book series. I couldn't find an announcement for a 4th book anywhere, but based on the way that the 3rd one ends, there has to be a 4th book, right? Like, I would actually be so upset if there wasn't a 4th book. So I'm kind of just telling myself that there will be a 4th book, but I don't actually know for sure. Is that better? Cool. But yeah, it was really good. Again though, it's just like what's been holding me off from giving these a 4-star, from giving them a 5-star. I think I've given every single one a 4.75. The little thing that's holding me back, well, the first few times it just like didn't end the way I wanted it to, and I know that's not the book's fault, but I don't know, it does something to me when the book doesn't end the way I want it to. Then obviously I get a little bit disappointed, and so I just I couldn't give it a 5-star because it didn't end the way I wanted it to. And the same for the 2nd book and the 3rd book, just because I got left open-ended. And one thing I will say, and I don't think this gives anything away by saying it because you find this out pretty early on in the first book. I hate love triangles. If there's one thing about me, I hate a love triangle, because it's just, everything is too up in the air with a love triangle. Like, you get like no reassurance throughout, and especially when it's a love triangle that like you really don't know which way it's gonna go. Like, I feel like in some cases, like, you can kind of like feel the vibes and suss out like which one she's gonna pick. No. No, I hate a love triangle where you have one, no idea who it's gonna be, and it just like, it scares me, because I don't want the book to end the way, I don't know, that I don't want it to end. Like, I want it to end my way, and so how can that happen when there's two very potential options for her? But that brings our total up to 5 books so far this month, and it's only December 9th. So we've still got a good amount of time to go. And only 10 books left of our goal of 15. ... I think I'm gonna read, is it Predator by Runix? Is that the first book in that series? I don't know. It's like a dark romance series. And so I think I'm gonna read that, because I haven't read a dark romance in a while, but I think the last one I read was God of Pain. I don't know, whichever one the most recent Rena Kent book was that came out, that's the last dark romance I've read, I think. So it's been a while, and I'm not one to shy away from a dark romance. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but yeah. So I haven't started that yet. I just finished Skyshade last night, and was like low-key taken aback, because I really genuinely thought that it was a 3-book series, and then there were like 20 pages left. There's like 6 pages left, and like the conflict still had not been resolved, and I was like, excuse me, how is this gonna wrap itself up in a pretty little bow in 6 pages? And the answer was, it doesn't. So yeah, that is all for right now. I will see you guys when I start my next one. I'm back. It is currently, I don't know if you can read this, January 1st. And drum roll to see if I finished my goal. I did not. I was very close. I got to 11 books, I think. Let me double check. Let me fact check myself, because that might not be right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yes. So I got to 11 out of 15. This whole plan was kind of squashed when I realized that 15 plus 75 doesn't equal 100 anyway, but I would say 11 books in 1 month is still highly impressive, especially considering this is not my full-time job, and I do have a job and school on top of this. So 11 books is very impressive, and I understand that not everybody reads 11 books in a month. And the past like 3 months, the most I've read has been 4. So between 2 to 4. So I would say that 11 after those few months is very impressive. I decided I would kind of speed round all the books that I did read this month, because I know closer to the end I didn't talk about the books as much that I was reading. I just kind of like showed myself reading them. So I'm going to go through, talk about them a tiny bit, and then give my ratings on all of them. So I started this video reading My December Darling by Lauren Asher. This is a novella that takes place kind of in the same setting as Love Redesigned and Love Unwritten, which is part of the Lake Wisteria series, and it's pretty much just like a holiday romance between a doctor and a nurse. And yeah, I think it was good for novella. I honestly haven't read that many novellas, but it kept me entertained throughout the entire thing, or the entire time I was reading it, and I did feel like it was a little bit rushed, but obviously you're gonna get that with shorter books, and there were some things that I didn't love, but overall I thought that it was decent, so I gave it a 3.75 because I must have thought it was good. Next, I read Metal Slinger by Rachel Schneider. I gave this a 4.75. I kind of talked about my thoughts already, so I'm not going to go too much into it. But I'm very excited for the second book whenever that comes out. So 4.75. And then after that, I dabbled my feet in some more fantasy. I read Light Lark by Alex Astor. This is the special edition, so Light Lark. Anyway, I also really enjoyed this one. I didn't really know what to expect, but after reading it, I was pleasantly surprised, and so much so that I did read the other two books in the series, which was helpful. But yeah, it basically is just about all of these like rulers of different realms come together to this island that arrives once every like 100 years, and they have to fight or like go through like challenges that the other rulers come up with in order to like save the island and stop it from disappearing again. And that's kind of the gist of it. All of them have different powers, and so you just kind of see that whole journey throughout this book. I gave this one 4.75. I did really like it. And then I jumped right into Nightbane after that, which is the second book, and this kind of just goes deeper into the story and kind of jumps into what happens right after Light Lark, like literally right away. And so yeah, I gave this one 4.75 as well. And then I read Sky Shade, and what happened here is I thought that this was only going to be a 3-book series, and so I was fully anticipating this like coming to a close and being tied up with like a pretty little bow at the end where everyone would be happy and all would be well. And that was in fact not the case, and I honestly can't remember if I talked about this, but I remember being at like the last 7 pages and like conflict was still happening, and I was like, how is this going to end happily in 7 pages? And the answer was that it doesn't. So yeah, it was really good though, and I really enjoyed it, and I also gave this a 4.75, so I'm expecting to really like the next book whenever it comes out, but obviously this one was just released, so I don't know when that will be. But yeah, did really enjoy this entire series, and I was pleasantly surprised because I wasn't completely sure. Anyway, after that, I read some books on my Kindle. So I read The Predator by Runix, which is like a dark mafia romance. And it's honestly not super dark, and it's probably a good like beginning if you're just starting to read dark romances. And I liked it. Honestly, I can't even really remember the first book. I thought it was good. I think I liked it I liked it less than the second book. The first 2 books follow the same couple, and so I think that what I didn't love about the first book is that it kind of ends unresolved because there's another book to come, and so I gave The Predator 3.5, just because, I mean, it was entertaining. Obviously, a 3.5 is not a bad rating. None of these books got a bad rating. But yeah, I just wanted like more from the characters, I think, in the first book, but we did get that in the second book. So the second book is The Reaper, and I gave this one 3.75, and I think just because we got more kind of interaction between the characters and I got more of like the romance that I was looking for in this book versus the first one. And something I like about dark romances is they're higher stakes and they're also more like plot driven, and so like there is a lot of romance in them, but there's also like other stuff going on top of that to kind of keep me entertained. Like the romance isn't doing the heavy lifting in these books, so I really enjoyed that. And then I read the third book, which was The Emperor, and honestly kind of the same thing as the first one. I liked the characters. I thought it was entertaining. It wasn't the most spectacular book that I've read. But I think I liked the plot in the second book more, and I'm trying to even remember what the third book was about. The thing that I didn't like about the third book is that it kind of felt slow because it's about two characters who kind of grew up together, and so we had to kind of get their entire backstory before we got to like where the second book left off. We had to like grow up with them first, and so I think that after coming off of like the intensity of the second book to then go into the third book where it's like jump back in time, I don't even know how many years, it just kind of threw me off a little bit, but not a lot. And I did like learning about the backstory, and I think it made it more emotional by the end. But yeah, I gave that one a 3.5 if I didn't already say that. And then switching gears kind of a lot, I read Beartown by Frederick Bachman, and it took me a minute to get into this one, like to fully like lock in and like read a lot of it. So I started out only reading like a couple pages at a time, and it took me a minute to get used to his writing style because it's not like, I don't know how to explain it. It's more of like a narrative writing style, I feel like, where he's just kind of like describing everything that's going on. There isn't a lot of like dialogue. There is some dialogue, but there's not like huge conversations. I don't know. It's a lot of like describing what's going on, and I did really like it, and I thought that it was a really emotional story, and I mean literally the first page is what like drew me in, because I honestly went into it kind of blind. I knew that it was about a hockey town and like friendship, but I didn't read a lot. And let me just read you the first page. Late one evening toward the end of March, a teenager picked up a double-barreled shotgun, walked into the forest, put the gun to someone else's forehead, and pulled the trigger. This is the story of how he got there. So that being the first line of the book, I was like, oh, so that's what this is about. And I don't know, I just wasn't expecting that, and I did really like it, and the ending was very, not surprising, but also like, I don't know, I just didn't expect what happened. And so yeah, I really liked it. I gave it 4.5 stars. I don't know, it was just missing that like 5-star feeling that I get when I am reading a book that I know is 5 stars. Like, I just wasn't feeling that. And so I do want to read the second book though, just to kind of get more of the characters and see what happens, because I am curious. But yeah, 4.5, it was really good, and I do think that it is worth the hype. And then this next book kind of has some backstory. I started listening to the Harry Potter audiobook in like May on my way driving down to Iowa, because it's like a 4-hour drive, and I just didn't want to listen to music the whole time. And so I started Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone then, and then I haven't touched it since. I think I got like maybe 2/3 of the way in, and then I just like gave up, because I am not an audiobook person. I don't love audiobooks to begin with. And so the one thing I did like about the Harry Potter audiobooks, especially because I have seen the movies, is that it kind of just felt like I was listening to the movie with like a little bit more detail. And the actual narrator is pretty entertaining and like does a good job with the narration. And so I picked this book back up mostly for this challenge so that I could get another book checked off, and because I only had like an hour, maybe 2 hours left in the story. And so whenever I would walk my dog, I would just like turn that on and listen to it, and I got it done. So I gave it 3.5 stars, I think, just because the first movie in general is not my favorite, and so I think just this being the first book, it was still good and I still liked it and it was still entertaining, but I think it just being the first book in the series and me already knowing kind of what happens and how high stakes the series gets towards the end, obviously I didn't think it was going to be my favorite. So 3.5 stars for Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. That one I did. It's the only one that I read via audiobook. And then the last book that I read was Fake Shot by Julia Connor. This is just a hockey romance, and honestly, I forget how, like, refreshing it is to go back to just, like, a sports romance. For me personally, they are, like, my palate cleanser books, and they're just, like, my foolproof, like, safety books. Like, when I'm reading a hockey romance or a sports romance in general, I just feel like at home. Like, I can dial in and read those books so quickly because it's just, like, it's not like they're predictable. I mean, they are predictable, but, like, not in a bad way, where I just, like, I know the structure, I know what's gonna happen, and I know that I'm gonna be entertained, and that I don't know, that I'm gonna enjoy what I read. And so most hockey romances that I read get between, like, a 3.75 star rating, just because of that fact. So this book got a 3-star rating, but it did feel very refreshing to, like, be back in that atmosphere and reading, like, that kind of story. They're just, I don't know what it is about them, but I am a sucker for a sports romance, and so I'm kind of happy that I ended my year reading that. But yeah, that is a recap of the 11 books that I read this year. I don't know if what 2025 has in store. Having this goal was kind of fun, just to see if I could accomplish it, and I didn't, but that's okay, because I mostly just wanted to do this to kind of get out of my reading slump, because I have, like I mentioned, been in a reading slump for the past couple months where I've just haven't been reading a lot because I've been busy with other stuff, and so it's fun to just be back in, like, a reading mood and, like, wanting to, like, actually read books and being excited to, like, get a new book and read it. And this also helped me knock some books off of my TBR and my physical TBR on top of that. So yeah, I think it was fun, and I'll definitely probably do something like this again at some point, just trying to reach a specific goal to see if I can, or to see how many I can read. But yeah, if you guys liked this video, give it a thumbs up, and I will see you guys somewhere else super soon. Bye.